Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. I won't waste any time. I won't complain about the fact that I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. And again, we have breaking news tonight. I'm jumping into it. The Rock is back. The Rock is back. And if you somehow were not watching Monday Night Raw and you're just catching up right now on Rosenberg Wrestling, or you're going to listen to the Cheap Heat podcast tomorrow, let me fill you in on what is going on. The Rock returns to San Diego. We saw the other day a tease from Triple H acknowledging a report online that a former WWE champion would be coming back. Triple H acknowledged it online, said he couldn't comment on it. Done sort of differently than anything we've seen in the past with similar rumors around. They announced early on today in the episode of Raw that, in fact, a WWE champion would returning. We get to around 10 o'clock just before it, and Samantha comes in and announces here is a former WWE champion. Boom, Jinder Mahal's music hits. Out comes Jinder Mahal. Jinder talks, runs down the crowd, runs down the United States. Boom, Rock's music comes out. Here comes The Rock. Now, at that point, I'm excited. Sure, the show has been great. There's been a ton of news. It was an epic and iconic WWE holiday tour last week. Of course, I was at the MSG show. Sets the record. The biggest gross ever at the door for a non-televised WWE North American show. It's a good time in WWE. All right, so I'm excited to see The Rock. Who wouldn't be? Who has a pulse, loves professional wrestling, and doesn't get excited to see The Rock? But as things are playing out, I start to think that this is going to be just like the last random Rock appearance in Colorado, this time in San Diego. Comes out, says something, talks trash to the heel. They get after each other, hypes up the crowd, gets the crowd to chant, beats up the jabroni, and leaves. That it followed, to me, almost the exact same thing that we've seen previously. Except this time, at the end, after beating up Jinder Mahal, who, by the way, is no jabroni, but you get the idea, given the circumstance, the role that he's playing in this case. And after beating up Jinder Mahal, he says, hey, San Diego, I'm going to go out and get something to eat. The Rock's hungry. Should The Rock sit in a booth? Should The Rock sit at the bar? At this point, I think it's a setup for a pie joke. I have to admit, I think me and almost the entire crowd in San Diego did not know where this was going. Maybe I'm not smart, but I heard booth, I heard bar, I'm waiting for dessert. Oh, I'm going to have some pie. And instead he goes, should I sit in a booth? Should I sit at the bar? The Rock loves the bar. Or should I sit at the head of the table? And there you have it. Finally, The Rock has acknowledged Roman Reigns. Maybe not the way Roman Reigns wants to be acknowledged. Oh, but The Rock has acknowledged the head of the table on WWE television, and it only means one thing. It's finally happening. Finally, it is happening. I just can't see a world where it doesn't happen. I mean, I suppose you never know. Maybe for some reason Mania doesn't work and they decide to make it a massive Royal Rumble and put this match at the Rumble, but I wouldn't think so. I would think we are getting The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, PA. That's what I would assume. Just last week on Cheap Heat, we had a conversation about how this is probably never happening and how every year that goes on, I think it's less and less likely. And boom, 4 or 5 days later, we have it. This is why there's nothing better than pro wrestling. This is why we fell in love with WWE, because you never know what random night you're sitting at home. The wife is watching Willy Wonka in the other room. I'm watching the show. I'm doing dishes. And I literally hear Jinder Mahal's music and I go, it was Jinder? If you smell. This is why it's the greatest form of entertainment on planet Earth. You never know what you're going to get on a day one episode of Raw. We didn't even know what that meant up until a couple of weeks ago, and now we know what it means. The Rock and Roman Reigns is on. And the timing could not be better. As great as this epic Roman Reigns run has been, we talked about this last week on the podcast, or 2 weeks ago perhaps, it's time. It needs something right now. It needs something. There's something needed to be injected into the bloodline Roman Reigns story that has not been there. And boy, did it, at the moment you started to think, where do they go from here? We have it. The battle for the head of the table is on. My lord.